What's up everyone, my name is Ron from Comics and Stuff, and for today's episode we have the new Super7 G.I. Joe Snake Eyes action figure. Now this package is a little different than the Cobra Commander one. I mean mainly in the color. This one's green, the Cobra Commander one is blue, but this one also has the G.I. Joe logo right there. The other one had the Cobra logo. Of course they both came embossed. The similarities though is that it continues that military kind of look with the fatigue, as well as that military canister kind of weathered look. It also says GIW1 SNK01, and I'm becoming more and more convinced that it means G.I. Joe Wave 1 Snake Eyes number 1. Onto the other side, it just continues that weathered kind of look. At the top, it does say Ultimate. At the bottom, G.I. Joe logo, Super7 logo, Hasbro logo, barcode, legalities, and to the back, more of that weathered kind of look, and I just want you guys to see it. I mean, it looks just great, doesn't it? Got some nice little touch of silver wherever the rust kind of places are, and it does have G.I. Joe logo embossed in the center. However, this is a sleeve cover, so when you open it up, the goodies showing Snake Eyes and Timber in that plastic window. On top of them is the G.I. Joe logo. When you go to the back, it shows a kind of command center with the Snake Eyes profile right there. But now that we did head into this beautiful package, let's open it up and check out the figure. And here is the Snake Eyes outside of the package. Now right off the bat, guys, I'm gonna tell you, he got a lot less accessories than Cobra Commander did. However, he comes with a Timber figure, and the logic will be that perhaps he would make up for the lack of accessories. Perhaps yes, perhaps not. Before we do get into it though, let's measure him up, and he stands in at about 7 inches, right at the mark, basically the same as Cobra Commander. Now, other than the pair that he has on now, he does come with an extra 3 sets of hands. One is these slightly gripping hands, which I'm guessing is used to grip that canister back there. There is also a pair of fists in order to throw some punches. And there's also a pair of trigger fingers in order to hold his weapons. And the weapons that he does come with is this pistol, this laser pistol. From the looks of it, got good sculpt but no paint whatsoever, which I'm a little bit disappointed in because it looks like a laser pistol. I would prefer like at least some kind of silver or something on it. He also comes with this rifle though, and thankfully this does got some paint. There's some paint on the tip, some paint on the sights, some paint on the grooves in there, some paint on the handle, and some paint on the stock. And the colors that they chose for this rifle right here do look rather good, so I like it. Now the other accessory though is this walkie-talkie, and I think that the paint applications for it is done rather nicely. I mean, there's the frequencies, there's a little red button, and the sculpt for the walkie-talkie is what it is. It looks like a walkie-talkie, so that's pretty okay. Now the canister that one of these hands are meant to hold is a Cobra canister. There is limited paint other than a Cobra logo. The sides are painted. And of course, if he's like on a sneak mission or something, he's gonna need a jetpack to fly away with that canister. And the jetpack I kind of like. I mean, it's a glossy type of plastic for the tanks right here. However, the paint applied to these triangles are a bit sloppily applied. So that's a bummer. The tubes right here are painted rather nicely though. The jets themselves underneath there got a nice silver paint with a touch of white right in the middle. And these straps, be careful with them guys. I mean, this doesn't snap onto his back or anything. You're gonna have to put it around his arms. So be careful stretching it out or ripping it entirely, you know? So I do like the jetpack. However, the main star of these accessories is, of course, the Timber figure. I mean, he comes with a grayish, kind of brownish base. Let's call it like that. There is some gray shading on his underbelly. a darker kind of a brown on the top leading to the tail. The sculpt itself, although it's not as shaggy as the Hasbro one, it looks pretty good. I mean, you could just play it off as smoother fur and everything like that. There is no paint on his paws though, so I'm disappointed with that. But what I'm most disappointed with the paint are these eyes. They're totally mismatched. I will have to fix that up, see if I could fix it up later on and try to have this eye matching this eye, but I shouldn't have to do that at the price point. The nose over here is more of a matte than anything. I would have preferred like a glossy type of paint in order to like imitate a wet nose. The mouth is painted nicely though. The paint is, it's done well for the most part, except for those dang eyes and the missing paws. The sculpt, I'm not too mad with either. I mean, it could just be smoother fur. But let's head into the articulation, guys, because I got a huge problem here. This is as far up he goes. This is as far down he goes. Guys, there's almost nothing right there. Almost nothing. Which makes no sense. It is a double ball peg, at least that's what it feels like, but doesn't afford him much up or down. Side to side though, you do get a bit of range, so that's okay. And of course you could move the side collar, the collar piece or the head side to side, so that's not bad. Legs come in a ball joint on the top limbs right there, so they do go back and forth. And they give you a bit of split in order to try to make an attack pose and bring them in closer in order to make a kind of sneaking pose. So I do like that. The articulation on the elbows, which is what I'm going to call it for the rest of the video, guys. I mean, there's limited movement on that hinge. There is a swivel though. There is a hinge on the paws. Swivel as well. No torso articulation, which is a big bummer. The back legs do not benefit like the front legs from a ball. There's only back and forth action. So I didn't understand the reasoning behind that either. And for these back elbows, there's just a hinge. No swivel either. So that's another bummer. However, the paws in the back do got a hinge and do got a swivel. But this tail is only a swivel, guys. And who's going to pose it like this? Nobody's going to pose it like this. I mean, it would have benefited so greatly from a hinge because you could have gone like that, bring it a little bit down. Yeah, this limits everything to basically a little bit sideways or just completely down. So that's a big gripe. I don't know how I feel about this timber figure. I will go more into detail later on when we do the comparisons and all that. But for now, let's head into Snake Eyes. Because I do like how Snake Eyes look. I mean, he looks like the cartoon. The sculpt is done pretty well. There is some slight shading, I'm thinking. Like it looks like it's very, very slight if there is shading, guys. I don't know if it's just my eyes playing tricks on me and stuff. But the base body itself is done in a very matte kind of paint. The pouches are applied nicely. There is no paint on the buttons though. The sculpt on these suspenders over here look good. Yeah, sculpt looks okay. The visor is a separate piece that seems to be glued on. So that looks all right. And the suspenders also are glued onto the top and glued onto the bottom. So they don't really interfere when it comes to the articulation. But let's get into the articulation because this is where I have a gripe, guys. I mean, his head only looks up that much, which is a big bummer considering he got a jetpack. This is not a cool flying pose. Down, it gives you some. There is a little bit of tilt, a lot of tilt, like the Cobra Commander. And of course, you're gonna get your rotation. Shoulders basically give you a T pose. You could do a full 360. Bicep swivel works just fine. Single jointed elbow that gets you about the 90-degree mark with a swivel in there. Swivel and a hinge on the hands. Now, when it comes to the torso, without using the waist cut, it gives you a tad back. I mean, that's pretty much straight. Without using the waist cuts, again, gives you a tad forward. Again, it's pretty much straight. Now, using the waist cut, though, all right, it's a little more noticeable, I guess. And going forward, a little bit more noticeable. And of course, that waist cut does give you the slightest of tilts. So that's appreciated. And of course, there is a swivel. I mean, you get your rotation there. Legs split up like this. So that's okay. I would have preferred a lot more. Kick up like that, which is just a tad. Go back like this. There is a thigh swivel that works. Single jointed knee that gives you about a 90-degree mark. And there is a boot cut cleverly hidden where it's supposed to be, in the boot. So that's cool. Now the ankles go up like this, go back like that. And of course, you do get pivot. Now that we went through this figure and we went through the timber and everything, I'm anxious to see how they stack up with the Hasbro's version. I got version 2 only, guys. So let's compare them and see what the differences are. All right, for our first comparison, to the left, we got the McFarlane Toys Joker, which is a figure that runs in the 7-inch scale. And to the right, we got the Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth, which is on the bigger side of Marvel Legends 1/12 scale. Now, both of them, compared to Snake Eyes, I actually don't think looks bad. In fact, it could be fudged. And for our second comparison, we got a couple of G.I. Joe Classified Series figures. To the left, we got Duke, and to the right, we got Roadblock. Now, Duke, compared to Snake Eyes, horrible luck. But again, because Roadblock is on the bigger side, if you squint your eyes, put him in the right angle, I think this actually works. And for our next comparison, we got him sized up next to a fellow wavemate with the Super 7 Cobra Commander figure right here. Now, I got Duke, I just don't got him opened. So if you guys want to see how they all look like together, stay tuned for my Duke video. But when compared to Cobra Commander by himself, I don't think it looks bad at all. And for our third and final comparison, we're going to size him up to the Snake Eyes and Timber 2-pack version 2. Now, I'm not even going to bother comparing them because it's not the same Snake Eyes and stuff like that. Like, it's not the same version of Snake Eyes. And of course, it's not the same version of Timber either. So I won't go through the paint applications. I mean, version 1 of this is basically the same colors as this. So from what I know, version 1 got the same sculpt, articulation, and everything. So we're just going to go through that. I will point out, though, that version 2 got its paws painted. Again, I don't know about version 1, but I'm pretty sure it does. Anyway, look at the movement going into the head going up. Look at the movement going down. Far cry from this, guys. There's also torso articulation that moves pretty dang good where you want it to go. None over here, guys. There's also an extra set of articulation on each of the limbs. This one's only with 1, 2, and the paws. This one's got 1, 2, 3, and the paws. But my biggest gripe is, of course, the hinge on the tails. This one only got a swivel. It makes you lack poses. This one, however, up, turn it to the side, make it go like this, maybe go all the way down, maybe go a little up and a little bit down. I mean, there's more choices. And my biggest little gripe, guys, is look at them. Look at the size of them. This Timber could actually stand a bit taller than this Timber. So if you got version 1, you might want to think about changing this Timber entirely. I also wanted to show that the back legs do got ball joints, so you could do a more spreading pose in order to attack, or bring them in closer together in order to do sneaky poses. This one does not have that option. I'm very disappointed with this Timber. Very, very disappointed. So in conclusion, guys, I do like the Snake Eyes. Don't get me wrong. But at the price point, it didn't have quite enough accessories to warrant it. I mean, I appreciate the timber, but if it was executed better, then perhaps I would have enjoyed it better. With that being said, Snake Eyes is a good figure, and it totally reminds me of the cartoon. I mean, if you're interested in it, I will leave a link in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. My name is Ron from Comics and Stuff, and I'll check you guys on the next episode. Peace.